Where are you at?
What do you mean?
Where are you at?
Can you just get to the point, like, I don't...
You're on the sidewalk.
Do you speak English?
Can you do me a favor?
No.
Can you watch my finger just with your eyes, but don't move your head?
No.
No? What brings you down here tonight?
I don't answer these questions, sir.
You would have been a lot better if you were just cool with them out at the stop.
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. Two of our recent videos feature the differences of how an innocent driver blows zeros and is forced to give blood, and still arrested and charged with a DUI. The following video compared how an obvious DUI with open containers and property damage is handled when it's the county prosecutor. In the spirit of continuing the trend of exposing how different people are treated, today's video was submitted by Mr. Anderson of DoggTown Dro, both of YouTube and Instagram. On Christmas Day of 2017, at around 11 p.m., DoggTown Dro went to an ATM located on the San Jose State University campus. The parking lot ends here. This concrete area is part of 9th Street, but is designated as a walking path for students. After witnessing a police cruiser drive on the pathway, Mr. Anderson parked his vehicle on the path to use the ATM, when Officer John Laws of the University Police Department approached, also by driving on the path, and detains Mr. Anderson, informing him that his vehicle was improperly parked.
Where are you at?
What do you mean?
Where are you at?
I don't understand.
Okay, you drove this, right?
Where are we going? I came to the ATM.
Okay, look down. What does that look like?
Can you just get to the point, like, I don't...
You're on the sidewalk.
I didn't realize I came from this direction.
Right, but the parking lot ends and the sidewalk begins. Have you been drinking tonight?
No.
Okay. San Jose 110, if I could have a code 1 fill. Do you have your driver's license?
Code 1 fill, lot 4, Charles 24.
You're driving on the sidewalk? That's illegal.
Okay. Are you going to give me a ticket for this now?
Yes.
110, when you clear returns.
Stand by.
Not from San Jose.
Okay.
So I didn't see any, like, actual partitioning and stuff. So I don't know. I seen ATM there on the street.
Have you been smoking pot or anything?
No.
You're not under the influence of anything?
Nope.
Can you do me a favor?
No.
Can you watch my finger just with your eyes, but don't move your head?
No.
No? Okay, then I can't let you drive away.
The initial line of questioning, "Where are you at?" becomes a point of contention in the case. Confused by the odd question, Mr. Anderson asks Officer Laws to expound on the question, and the officer explains that Mr. Anderson has committed a parking violation, immediately followed by questions concerning driving under the influence. Mr. Anderson has not been drinking, nor has he smoked or used in any other way, shape, or form any controlled or mind-altering substance. He is completely sober. After Officer Laws wraps up his unusual inquiries, he immediately starts commanding Mr. Anderson to perform movements consistent with field sobriety testing. Mr. Anderson refused, and with good reason, and as you'll see, this video is a prime example of why you should never consent to a field sobriety test. Officer Ben Dixon now arrives on scene while Laws runs his license.
Where are you headed to, Sam? No? Sir? Nothing? Do you speak English?
Okay, sir, I'm really kind of thinking you're impaired. You couldn't answer questions.
I don't want to answer questions.
You can't figure out that you're on the sidewalk. So if you don't let me go ahead with tests, I'm going to have to base it on what I've got, which is what you've given me. Which is almost nothing other than your disorientation, your inability to differentiate between the street and the sidewalk.
Are you recording?
I am, yes.
Can you, for the record, tell me what disorientation I'm exhibiting to you?
You couldn't identify where you were at.
As far as...
Any of my questions, other than to say that the ATMs were here, you couldn't answer any of my questions.
I'm not familiar with the area.
Okay, but you can tell the difference between a sidewalk and a roadway, correct?
Not when there's no, like, leveling difference. I could not.
So okay? you need a curb in order to tell the difference between a street and a sidewalk.
When it's really dark, that may be the case.
Okay, but you understand why I don't have this problem normally. Most people don't do this, so that's why you couldn't answer the questions. You couldn't differentiate between the difference between the sidewalk and the roadway. You had trouble understanding what I was asking about.
I didn't.
So, and then you refused to provide me any investigative leads to try and figure out if you're impaired or not.
I really don't care to.
Okay.
I don't respond to condescending questions.
Person behind you.
Okay, you naked?
Yes. What brings you down here tonight?
I don't answer these questions, sir.
Okay.
So if you like any question, I'm not answering like excessive questions or.
Okay. If you could go ahead and put your hands behind your back for me, we're going to go ahead and take you into custody for driving under the influence.
Mr. Anderson is placed under arrest. The officers search his person and then his vehicle.
Do you have a wallet? Or are you still in the car?
I do not consent.
Okay, I understand.
I do not consent.
You are not giving consent for me to search your car.
I absolutely did not allow you to open that door.
I understand, and I acknowledge that you have told me you do not consent for me to search your car.
You unlocked my door.
I did, yes, and I am searching your car.
They find several medication bottles prescribed to Mr. Anderson. This becomes very important later, obviously. Officer Laws then tells a random passerby that Mr. Anderson has, quote, a bunch of drugs in his car.
You seem curious about what was going on here.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Okay.
What's right?
Yeah, no, it appears to me that he was driving under the influence, driving up here onto the sidewalk and stuff.
Yeah,
so, and he had a bunch of drugs in his car, so that's what's going on. All right, thank you.
Mr. Anderson was taken to jail. He initially refused to perform the field sobriety tests, as it is his right to do so. Perhaps his main mistake during this incident was to consent to perform the tests for Officer Ben Dixon once he was at the police station. Per the records, he passed the nystagmus test and the digit test. Then, he was given 2 more tests, the one-leg stand, and the walk-and-turn. During the one-leg stand, Officer Ben Dixon failed Mr. Anderson for having his hands in the small of his back instead of at his sides. He used the same reasoning to fail him on the walk-and-turn test, though he otherwise performed both perfectly. During the officer's deposition, he testified that the tests aren't graded with any leniency whatsoever, and that despite his ability to perform the test without losing his balance, miscounting, or stumbling, he failed for having his hands in the same position that he kept them during the entire encounter. This stance is also known as parade rest, a formal position assumed by a soldier in ranks in which he remains silent and motionless. Parade rest is a form of respect given to non-commissioned officers by those junior in rank. Instead of recognizing this stance as a submission to the officer's authority, he uses it against Mr. Anderson to substantiate an arbitrary arrest. Field sobriety tests can be useful, however, they are often abused by the officer administering the test, as the reasons one would pass or fail are purely subjective. An officer can choose to ignore small deviations or use them against you based on your level of cooperation. During the tests, Officer Ben Dixon was condescending and unprofessional, but the most ridiculous part was after the tests. Officer Ben Dixon tells Mr. Anderson that he would have performed better on the test if it wasn't for his mouth.
So whether you passed, failed, whatever it is, and it's not so much a pass-fail since I do multiple things, it's more of just an overall judgment of what I believe. That's kind of what it is. It's not like, you fail 1, you go, or you fail 2. It's nothing like that. It's an accumulative thing. It's a whole entire thing. But I guarantee you would have been a lot better if you were just cool with them out at the stop. You know what I mean? I think that's what kind of caused all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Mr. Anderson was charged with DUI, possession of tear gas, and possession of a controlled substance. The prosecutor refused to pursue the charges because the only thing the blood test revealed was citalopram, one of Mr. Anderson's prescription medications. No other drugs or alcohol were detected, and none of the prescription medications found in his vehicle or his blood are associated with DUI within its meaning of the California Vehicle Code. But that didn't stop Officer Laws from including them in his report. Furthermore, a white powder that the officers found in a pill cutter was claimed to have tested positive for amphetamines on scene, but when turned into the lab, that medication turned out to be his migraine medicine and did not test positive for a controlled substance. Almost 3 years later, in April of 2020, Mr. Anderson filed a 42 U.S. Code 1982 lawsuit against the officers, as well as the Board of Trustees of California State University for 4th, 5th, and 14th Amendment rights violations. The defendants eventually motioned for summary judgment and was granted in part and denied in part. The case was then referred to settlement and Mr. Anderson was awarded an unknown sum of money, and his charges were never pursued by a prosecutor because the evidence showed he was stone cold sober and not in the possession of a controlled substance. It seems as if Officer Laws had every intention of arresting DoggTown Dro from the very beginning of the interaction, all for a parking violation. A big thanks to DoggTown Dro for submitting this video. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel and Instagram links in the description below. As always, thanks for watching. If you have a video you'd like to submit for review, use the link in the description or pinned comment. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification for future content. And remember to like, share, and comment down below of what you think of this interaction. It really helps the channel. If you enjoy our content, try our other channels, Lackluster Limited for criminal psychology content, and The Odd Side for paranormal videos. Shirts and other merchandise are available at the Teespring store. Memberships start at just $1 if you'd like to help further support the channel and get a slick Lack logo next to your name. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. All links are down below.